Good morning, everybody. How are you all? I'm so excited and happy today. And I'm just coming to you from between the fronds of my garlic. Let's just move that a little bit. Oh, shower of dirt down my back, never mind. It's really early. Well, it's really early for me. It's 8:30 in the morning. I thought I'd come at 8:30 to try and beat the heat, but it's so hot already. We were supposed to have a whole day of thunderstorms. That was going to clear the air. Didn't happen. The air is thick with moisture. Dripping. But anyway, never mind. Today is really exciting because finally it's one of those days in the year. Oh, I love it. All the prep has been done, all the soil prep, the digging of the beds, the turning over, the structures are up, it's all ready. And all those little seedlings that were sown 6, 8, 12 weeks ago in some cases, they've all been nurtured in my flat, in my sunny south window. Then they've been moved out to my hallway, which is much cooler, north facing, but still loads of light. Then they've been brought down to the plot to finish hardening off. And finally, the day has come to start planting things. Yay! I'm so happy. I think I'm going to try to plant up bed number 2 today, which is the vine bed. So that's tomatoes, the squash, which will be horizontal, the peppers and the cucumbers. And then hopefully I will also have time to plant up the vegetable cathedral. So that's all the climbing squash and then all the underplantings with the salads, lentils, etc, etc. Busy day. So I'm going to start in bed number 2. And the thing about that bed is they will all benefit as I plant them. So I'm just watching out for cattails. There's cats everywhere. They will all benefit from a little bit of a little scoop of Epsom salts into the planting hole. So you've possibly heard about people using Epsom salts before. Maybe you're wondering why isn't that something we use in the bathtub at home? Well, yes, we do use it in the bath at home too, or I certainly do. It's to give them a bit of a shot of magnesium. And magnesium is a really, really important nutrient for plants because it helps with chlorophyll production. And of course they need that for their lovely green leaves, for them to photosynthesize and grow strong. So quite often you'll see a recommendation if your tomatoes, for example, if they're looking a bit yellow and sorry for themselves, is an application of Epsom salts. And you can do it one of 2 ways for the best efficacy of it for them to take up that nutrient. Either give them a bit in the planting hole when you plant them, or make it into a foliar spray. So a bit of Epsom salts, load of water, give them a spray, because they can absorb it quite easily through their leaves, as opposed to once the plant's in the ground, doing it in the watering can. When you water, it's better to get onto their leaves. Oh, bye-bye, one of the cats. So yeah, so chlorophyll production, really important. It also it aids them taking up all sorts of other nutrients. So hopefully just giving them that little bit of magnesium is going to help them get everything else they need. It can help prevent blossom end rot, which you may or may not have experienced. You may have seen pictures of it, but you'll see on your tomato or your pepper and squash where with the end of the fruit you get a dark patch and it goes squishy and it's not nice, and you can basically, the whole fruit drops off and rots. So it helps prevent that. It is also said, I'm trying to think of all myriad uses, it's also said to help ripen the fruits. So for instance, if you've got loads of green tomatoes, give it a spray with the Epsom salts. It's supposed to help promote them to ripen, and it's supposed to help things taste sweeter. So all in all, Epsom salts, great. So everything I plant today will get a little handful just mixed in with the soil in the bottom of their planting hole, plus the squash will also get a little handful of chicken poo in the bottom of their hole because they are really, really greedy feeders, and we'll crack on from there. Now, the wonderful thing is, in the last few days, plot neighbours have been donating to me their excess tomato seedlings. I'm going to show you one of mine. So I did the first sowing and it was obviously hinky compost because I sowed all sorts of different seeds and not a thing came up. re-sowed, everything came up, but it's really, really stunted. So look, that's one of my Rose de Berne tomatoes. I mean, it's pathetic. It's only got 3 true leaves. So what I thought with all of these, I'll tell you about the donations in a sec, but I thought with all of mine from home, I'm going to bring them all to the garden, and I'm hoping that some really good natural daylight, warmth, bit of natural watering is going to prompt them and remind them of what they're supposed to be doing at this time of year, which is growing. So fingers crossed. I'd love it if I can get just one Rose de Berne, because I've got no seed left. I had seed for myself and then gave the rest away, so fingers crossed. But with the donations, I have 21 tomato plants. They're all sorts of different sizes and shapes. There must be about 16 different varieties, because they've come from Janet, Kay, Catherine, Tamara. Yeah, they've come from 4 different friends, and they've all grown different varieties. So there's a real mixture. So when I'm planting out, I'm going to have to make a plan for sort of naming each one, because I'll forget. And also I need to remember which plant, which pot needs to go back to which owner, because I need to give everyone their little plant pots back. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm dead excited. I can feel in just the few minutes I've been sat here chatting to you, I can feel the heat, the temperature coming up. In the shed it is, oh, turn around that way. In the shed it's 30 degrees. I'm covered in sun lotion. When I'm not talking to you guys on the camera, I will have my hat and my sunglasses on. It's all good. So, come on, let's get out and start planting. So here's what's got to go in today. Most of this lot, and let's just come down this side here. Oh, these lovely things, all these tomatoes, and there's a couple more just in the end there. It's really hot and bright today, so what I'm thinking, oh, poor little squash, look how oh, my shadows, sorry, look how yellow they are. They really, really, really need to go out. I may, once they are out, I may try and cover them with the shade netting again, just because the shock of transplanting them. I don't want the shock of transplanting and the shock of heat or scorching light. That's the other thing with Epsom salts. Apparently it's supposed to help in terms of negate some of the shock from transplanting. So yeah, hopefully they'll do. Anyway, just before we get all these out, I want to show you, follow me, follow me, follow, 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 la, la, la. So, this is tomato bed number 1. I've just given a quick tickle over because this bed does actually get quite a lot of bindweed in it. I'm just going to come the other end because of the sun. But you can see, I hope, really clearly how well the cardboard and that there is all the old chopped up chickpea foliage that I'm using as a mulch. I've just scraped it off for now so I could get down there and get in to get bindweed out. But look at that. We've had baking hot weather and dryness for weeks and weeks and weeks, and look how beautifully moist it is. It's moist, it's loose, it's gorgeous, it's chock full of worms. So yeah, the cardboard and the chickpea mulch have worked a treat. Just a word on bindweed as well. If you get it coming up, you know, at this stage obviously you can get down, you can have a really good go down there to dig it out. You'll never be rid of it completely, but you can have a jolly good go. If it starts to come up, once your plants are in and established, the last thing you want to do obviously is be trying to dig it out. But then also you don't want it to be wrapping itself around your beautiful produce and strangling it. So a little tip for you. If, for instance, say you've got a plant here and then a couple of centimetres away the bindweed is coming, stick a little cane, a 3-foot cane or so, right in with the bindweed, and then you can train the bindweed up the cane so it will leave your plant alone, it won't choke your plant out. And then once you've harvested your plant, then you can get in and have a jolly good dig out. Right, let's go and get a barrow full of tomatoes and a notebook. That'll fit. Well, I've made my note of what each one is and who it's from in my little notebook, so that A, I sort of know what to expect, and B, so I know who to return all the different pots to. Right, planting tomatoes. So normally I grow cordons, which are the ones that go up, they climb, they climb, they climb. And one of the reasons I do that is because of they take up less space because they go up rather than out. And fortunately, most of what's been donated to me is also cordons. There's a couple of bush varieties which I'll stick on the end. So, digging myself a generous hole, my Epsom salts. Oh, I've got. You don't need that much. Just literally a little sprinkling in the bottom of the hole there. That's plenty. Give it a little mush in. Now, the thing about planting your tomatoes, especially if they've gone a bit leggy from being grown on your windowsill indoors, and this is not me making a judgment on what my friends have grown, because if any of you saw my tomatoes last year, you'll know that mine are considerably more leggy. So like I said, it's not a judgment, but pretty much whether they're leggy or not, I plant them considerably deeper. Just remove those bottom leaves that are going to be below the surface of the soil, because where that stem is below the ground, it will now form more little roots, which when it comes to the autumn and I take them out, I'll show you, because it's demonstrated perfectly then. They form all these beautiful little fibrous roots, and obviously the more roots the plant has, the more opportunities it has to take up nutrients, to take up water. So tomatoes are one of those great plants that you can actually do that with. Give it a bit of a fern. I can't get over how well the cardboard has retained all the moisture. So once I've got this this whole bed planted up, I'll get all that lovely chopped up chickpea foliage rubbish from the end of last October, and I'll spread it all over again to continue to act as a mulch. Right, one down, 20 to go. Yay! You know, I can't imagine my garden without tomatoes, so I'm so happy my friends have come good and given me their spares. Can you imagine not having all that beautiful tinker time of taking out the side shoots? Speaking of which, that one can come out. Yeah, that lovely tinker time of tying them in, taking out the side shoots, and all the while that beautiful, beautiful smell filling the air. So yeah, my garden would not be my garden without tomatoes. Chop chop, Vivi. Wow, everything's taking me so much longer today than I thought. I've spent probably the best part of the last hour and a half doing the tomatoes. It's just 'cause it's so hot that I'm just making sure sort of every 15 minutes or so I go and sit in the shade and drink a load of water. Right, anyway, now they're done, it's time to get the cucumbers and the peppers in. So, another little disaster. Oh, this year has certainly got me stitched up, hasn't it? I've given away all my spares already, so I left myself with enough for me. However, I've lost about 5 cucumbers to slugs and 3 or 4 of the peppers, but also as a trial I sprayed some of the peppers with, it's supposed to be this slug deterrent, which is, I can't remember the name of it, Grazers or something. It's supposed to be organic, you can use it on anything, but it just seems to have made everything, my peppers go all sort of wilty and horrid. So I started off with about 24 really beautiful pepper plants. I've got about 10. Fingers crossed they survive. So the cucumber is long green Maracha from my saved seed from last year. I first tried it about 2-3 years ago. Really like it, and it's specifically designed for being happy to be grown outdoors. So, you know, there's all sorts of different varieties, and I'm sure those of you with greenhouses are probably growing something completely different. But if you don't have a greenhouse, long green Maracha is a fab option. You get really lovely cukes from it, maybe about sort of 10 inches long, and they can get quite fat. But also the plants are really, really pretty prolific. Oops, a bit too low. So like with the rest of the squash family, they really, really don't like to have their roots disturbed. So I grow them, I start them off in the pot, I don't pot them on, I just let them grow, and then get them into the ground. Hopefully that won't be too shocking for it. And importantly, next to it, I should really put this in first, I'm going to sink another plant pot. I'm going to sink that in just next to it, and this will be my little watering pot, because again, like with all the squash family, they hate getting their stems wet, and they are susceptible to rot in their stems if you do get them too wet. So if you can, just pop in a plant pot, anything next to them. So with the pumpkins, I'll use water bottles, not pumpkins, the squash, I'll use water bottles because they're a bit longer, a bit taller, and so when all the foliage is there, the idea is I can still see them to water them. So I've got all the cukes in, a handful of Epsom salts for each of them, likewise the peppers, and then I can start to think about doing the squash bed. Busy day. In terms of spacing, a bit stingy. There may be 10-12 inches apart. They seem to be perfectly happy with that though. And with the peppers, again, they're about 12 inches apart. Some of the ones that have survived are the ones that I've planted them in doubles, tandem, if you like, as an experiment, because apparently they like being together and will be even more bountiful like that. So let's see. The other thing with peppers is you can pinch out the tops to get a much more bushy plant. However, I certainly won't be doing that today because transplanting them alone is enough of a shock to their little systems. I'll give them a couple of weeks to just get on with things and recover a bit, and then I'll think about nipping out their tops. Oh, it's quite nice to do a sit-down job. Before I take home the bucket of Epsom salts for me to use at home in the bathroom, I will check there aren't any slugs or snails hiding in it. Don't really like sharing my bath water with slugs and snails. Oh, precious little plants. Please don't let me lose any more. Okay, as and when I can get any grass clippings or such like, I will get them, grab whatever I can whenever I can, and get this bed mulched. Why don't you go and all have a nice long cold drink of something while I get on with this? It seems a bit crazy and a bit ridiculous, but getting this bed done, oh my goodness, it's taken me the best part of all day. Lots of stops for shade and water, other little bits and bobs of jobs done as well, but I really wanted to get the cathedral bed planted up today as well, but you know what, got to be sensible. It's absolutely boiling hot. It's only 3:30 in the afternoon, but oops, wobble wobble, it's boiling hot. It's getting more and more humid by the minute, so I'm gonna call it a day here, go and have a sit down for half an hour in the shade, and then come back and water everything. Hurrah for the relative cool and shade of the shed. That really has been a bit of an effort in the heat today. Even though I've come into the shade, I'm still dripping with sweat. There have been quite a few other folk around today as well, but most people were sensible and left after a couple of hours. But I just really want to get a wriggle on and get all these beds planted up. Hopefully by the end of the week, get everything in that's a seedling plant, get all the direct sowing done, re-sow some areas, chickpeas I think need to be re-sown, blah blah blah. Hopefully get all that done this week, and then I can turn my attention to other things, because everything else in life is getting neglected because the garden's taking up so much of my time, which I love, of course. Can you imagine a life where you could just garden all day, every day? Oh, I would love that. Never mind, I digress. So, I need to go home. I need to plunge myself into a nicely cold bath, catch up on a bit of the tennis because the French Open is on, and generally just cool my boots for a few hours. So, I will say cheerio for now. I hope you're all getting on, cracking on a storm in your gardens. I will see you soon, I hope. But in the meantime, take care. Stay in the shade if you can, whatever you need to do. Dive in a river, as long as you know the river and you know there aren't any boulders and rocks to break your neck on. Yeah, whatever it is you do to stay cool, have fun doing it. Take care, see you soon.